So good afternoon, everyone. So despite the hurdles to narrow the digital divide and performance gaps that have grown during last year's COVID-19 school closures, teachers and parents have grown increasingly open to virtual learning options as well as hybrid learning using both in-person and online tools. Today, through this platform, we're going to discuss the coming together of technology and teaching. So let me welcome our eminent panelists for this session of the value of the teacher. Let me welcome on stage, on this virtual stage, in fact, Dr. Indrajit Bhattacharya, Director, NABET, Major Harsh Kumar, Secretary, NCERT, and Abhimanyu Basu, Dean of Academics at Dhirubhai Ambani International School. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today at this virtual platform. So Major Kumar, I would like to come to you first and ask you on how this pandemic you think has brought about all these changes, and how are we going to implement the national education policy which was announced last year?
See, this pandemic has come out to us as an opportunity. And first of all, a very warm welcome to everybody and thanks for inviting me here. Uh, Actually, this is the cause of pandemic. This is because of pandemic that we are meeting virtually, sitting across the globe, maybe across the globe, we are sitting across India. But with this, one thing has come that we have to get all these things to our far-flung villages also, far-flung schools also. Sitting in cities and AC rooms, we cannot decide and we cannot, describe the problem which they are facing. And these 2 years have been very testing time for all of us around the globe. But then we have come up with this schools in and one thing I must share here with you, that if you see our NEP came in the time in 2017-18. It was already there on the virtual platform, open for the suggestions and all. And in that policy, this space was already planned. The technical the use of technology in education was this I must say that uh, this is made by the visionary people of our country, that they have already thought of that how to use technology, how to change with the time. But unfortunately this thing has come, and this has forced us to do it in a faster manner. And our schools in urban situation, they have coped up with this. But then when we think of India is not only with the metropolitans or big cities. We reside in villages also. And now it is the time that the private public participation has to come. And then we can plan to take this type of education, this blended kind of education. Because I will honestly tell you that in 2020, when the first time pandemic hit, then I was always of the opinion that okay, this phase will go, and there is no alternative of face-to-face teaching, and we have to go back to our classrooms. But then the second wave come, and now we are forced to think that we have to have a blended form of teaching. And this space is being provided in if you say in secondary education and higher education. And we have already got the learning platforms of higher education also. The SWAM platform is being IITs is taking care, IIT Madras is taking care of that for the higher education. Then for the technical education, technical higher education, for non-technical, IGNOU is taking care of that. Then for secondary and higher secondary education, NCERT, NIOS, and with PM eVidya program, we have got 12 channels being run by NCERT from class 1 to 12. So we are coping up with the situation, and we are coming up with the new ideas. And with the coming time, I think we'll be focusing on this issue more, that how to blend it finally.
Sure. So any steps you can suggest that the board at NCERT would be taking for the blended learning format?
NCRT is planning. NCRT last year also, we had come out with the alternative calendar, that what should be taught during this period, because there is no regular classroom teaching. So we had come out with the alternative calendar last year also, and this year also we have fine-tuned that calendar, and that is available on NCRT website. Other than that, there were informative videos, and the digital form of our books are already available on the website. And we are planning every day. New things are coming. Yesterday, on the World International Yoga Day, we have given a quiz program for the children of the secondary education. And likewise, for every event we are doing this, we are coming up with the new ideas, and how to blend it finely. That is obviously in the new curriculum framework and all. This all thing will be fine tuned.
Sure, sure. So anything specific which is being kept in mind with regards to the different set of schools which we have, the kind of schools we have in urban areas, and the kind of schools we have in rural areas, whether it's government schools, private schools, or semi-aided schools?
See, ma'am, the thing is that the training of teacher is very important, and what you have kept the title also of this discussion, that the importance of teacher or the value of the teacher. See, without teacher one cannot learn.
Right.
And our teachers, I salute to our teachers, they have struggled and they have come up to the occasions, because many teachers, they were not well trained with the computer, or the infrastructure was also not that very good even in the urban schools also. But see, we have come up with the situation, we have coped up. And what you are asking is a very right question, that what we are going to do for the schools in far flung areas. So let me tell you, government has got extensive plans for that, and all discussions are going on. And I am very sure that the timeline has been given for to fine tune everything, and very soon we'll come up with the plan. The entire secondary education and learning department of Ministry of Education, under the stewardship of our honorable minister, Shri Ramesh Pokhriyal ji. We are working day and night on that. And our honorable prime minister is also very much, he interacts with the children very often. You must have seen Pariksha Par Charcha, and otherwise also, with the students, he has been interacting, and he has been taking keen interest on this new education policy, and so many meetings he has taken on this. So government is very serious on this, and we are working on this. Many points cannot be divulged at this stage, but then government is very serious about how to take it to the block level, to the village level. uh, there are plans for that. The amalgamation of various resources of various bureaus will be used, and public participation, public private participation is also one of the very important part of that, which is all in pipeline. And we are definitely going to make a difference very soon. And this will take time. The implementation of the new education policy is not like that it can take in 2 minutes. It will take time to. It has already been formulated, it has been discussed on open platform, every stakeholder has given his or her views. So that has all been taken into account, and now we are planning, we are moving ahead very fast on that, firmly and steadily. So all this, that thing will come in due course of time.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Mr. Kumar. I'll come again to you to discuss further. So coming to you, Dr. Bhattacharya, since you are heading the Quality Council of India at NABET, so according to you, will schools as an institution remain intact in this new era which we are all seeing of digital learning? What are your views on that?
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me for this platform. First of all, I would like to say that I would like to explain our organization and how the organization is positioned.
Sure.
So Quality Council of India was established in '97 by Government of India, Ministry of Commerce, and along with the three top industry associations of our country, namely ASSOCHAM, CII, and FICCI. So we are an independent autonomous organization which is in the space of assessments and accreditation. And our chairman, Mr. Adil Zainul Bhai, who is spent 34 years in Harvard, has been appointed by the Prime Minister of India to head our organization. And our Secretary General is from the academics front, Dr. R.P. Singh, who was the former Vice Chancellor of Sharda University. So having said that, we have this board which do this autonomous, third-party accreditation. So we are in the space of laboratories, we are in space of hospitals, we are in space of certification bodies and quality promotion. So NABET is the board which is in education and training, and we do the accreditation of schools, which we have done about more than 6,000 schools. And in the past, we have done accreditation of ITIs and NSDC centers, about more than 5,000 centers of NSDC. Now this pandemic, like Mr. Harsh Kumar mentioned, has put us in a different kind of a front where everything has moved online. And now it is in such a situation where we saw through more than 80% of the students in the school front from the rural area went through this entire journey on a mobile phone. So obviously our accreditation space also changed, and we have brought in blended learning accreditation on which we call it as LSP, learning service providers, to ensure that the delivery of moves out from chalk and talk experience to tech-driven experience, right? And as the Ministry of HRD comes out with a scale of performance grading index, which is called as PGI, based on 5 areas of evaluation, which is infrastructure, equity, governance. If you see the majority of the learning organizations, infrastructure, equity, governance, and access are not in the hands of the accreditation to improve upon, but something which one can do is on the learning outcomes, which it stands at 18%. So if on the learning outcomes, like again Mr. Harsh mentioned, it's largely depend on the teachers, the quality of teachers.
Yeah.
If we improve the quality of teachers, this learning outcomes can improve significantly. So so this one can facilitate it through improving the quality of teachers, as well as how they handle technology, whether they're able to handle the technology, because COVID or no COVID, the technology and the blended learning will stay from here on, and we have to learn to handle the technology and to take forth how the learning is delivered, because the NEP says or acknowledges that the students, everybody cannot be treated the same, because there are 9 types of intelligence, and the student learning styles has to be different. So this technology is a platform which offers the students to go through synchronous as well as asynchronous learning, so that the human intelligence can be more logically assessed and valued, putting forth the SQ, which is the spiritual quotient at the highest level, the EQ, the emotional quotient at next level, the IQ, and at the bottom of the line, the PQ, which is the body awareness skills in use. So based on this, the assessments would also change. And as I said, the use of technology in teaching and learning and removing language barriers are the key principles of NEP, which form let us say the genesis. And going forward from here, as I said, very quickly, mobile phones have been embraced as the deliverer for learning. Now we are going forward to have more adaptive teaching going forward, and analytics of emotions are going to happen, because the computers are now going to see the face and analyze the face of the student and understand that how the teaching style must change, because there's a new lexicon which has come forward, which is called as affective computing, which is the understanding of emotions of the students from the faces of the student, right? So going forward, this is all going to come forward, and we are positioned obviously for the SQUAF, which is happening, which is School Quality Assessment and Accreditation Framework, which aims to improve the GER, the gross enrollment ratio, from in higher and vocational education from 26% in 2018 and has targeted to improve to 50% by 2035. And same is happening in the front of National Higher Education Qualification Framework. And I think, again, technology is the key for making all this happen. Over to you, Punita.
Sure, Dr. Bhattacharya. So when you have been doing these accreditations and assessments, are there any specific suggestions you would make with regards to digital transformation for teachers?
Correct. So since you asked the question specifically on accreditation, so there is a term now, you see, we are in a position where so far we were talking about Industry 4.0, which is digitalization. So now during this COVID, there's a new term in 2020 onwards, which is called as Industry 5.0, which is personalization. That is the interdependence of man and machine using cognitive computing and human intelligence, mass customization and personalization for humans. So again, coming back to your point on teacher evaluation, now the teachers would be assessed based on how they are able to handle the new Industry 4.0 techniques, right? So using those Industry 4.0 techniques which are available, how the faculty would be able to take through the students and embrace the what technology offers. Going on to this, on Industry 4.0 lines, there is a Quality 4.0 term which has references the future of quality and organizational excellence within the context of Industry 4.0. That means Quality 4.0 is a term which embraces the technologies offered by Industry 4.0, that is tools and technologies, to enhance the human intelligence, speed and quality of decision making, to ensure transparency, traceability and auditability.
Okay. Sure, I'll come back to you with more on this, Dr. Bhattacharya. And before that, I would like to ask you, Mr. Basu, you've been an educationist for 25 years. So do you think all this digitization has helped teachers? I mean, are the classes more interactive when we are doing them on Zoom or Google Meet or MS Teams, giving them more creative freedom, I would say?
So I think, first of all, thank you for inviting me, and thank you, Dr. Kumar, for your inputs, and Dr. Bhattacharya. It was great to listen to your point of views in terms of the background, in terms of how government is looking at, especially implementation of NEP, I feel is a very forward-looking stuff. And so coming to your question, Nita, I don't think any of the schools were ready for what happened in March 2020. And when I'm talking about schools, I'm talking about best of the schools with best of IT infrastructure around the world. And I think it was a huge challenge because nobody was ready or ever thought of a scenario that you would have a scenario that children won't be able to access school. But I think that sort of whole challenging scenario pushed us to relook at stuff. So whether it was Zoom, whether it was Microsoft Teams, or whether it was any other platform, I think a lot of schools actually got back into teaching by the last week of March, like 2020. Pandemic broke out in the second week of March. So there was a 15 days of 10 to 15 days of sort of looking between things and getting the teachers updated. And it all happened. Since then, I don't think sort of schools have stopped. Answering your question, this was the sort of background I wanted to give. Answering your particular question, I think technology is allowing us to differentiate. What Mr. Kumar was talking about is in the lines of, or even what Mr. Bhattacharya was talking about, is that how we can differentiate and let every child learn at their own pace. that whole synchronous asynchronous model, I think educationalists around the world have discovered that there is greater chance of uh, personalization of education, which is, I would say, utopia, because that's the perfect solution that every child learns at their own pace, right? But in order to go that, we need to start somewhere. And I think differentiation can happen through technology a lot more than it can probably happen without technology. The breakout rooms allows for discussions between people. You can allocate staff. You can have people, get into that and sort of see how children are. And there were a lot of children, who were shy to speak in front of a whole class. Now, when they're getting into that sort of a framework, I'm not saying that every child is enjoying sitting at home and doing this for the last 1.5 years. I think we all are sort of dying to get back to school. If a thing is given, I think all the children are going to rush back to school tomorrow. And I hope that happens as soon as it can, because we are all missing the social connection, right? But also these quiet kids who were there in the class, who never could speak, I think they're finding their niche. And this I have seen in multiple scenarios, and I've heard for fellow educators, not only in India, but across the world, that there are some kids who are finding their niche and finding how they can do. So, we have this one child who is completely visually impaired in our school, and he was in grade 10. So we are guiding him currently through the IGCSE program. And it was a huge challenge, to get onto him although he has a device which sort of leads to him, but to get him to actually do everything in a remote scenario with a special educator in a one-to-one scenario. But it has worked. I mean, he finished his grade 10s and he's moving on to his grade 11s. We do the IGCSE and the IB diploma program, but it is something which is possible. I can also say, Punita, something that this whole scenario only puts our faith back that schools are not only places for learning, but it is something. Schools and colleges does more than learning, because the learning is still happening today at home, but people are still craving to go back to school. There is something called as social interactions, which gives more to learning and adds a dimension. I feel that's missing.
Sure. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Basu. So before we conclude this session, I have this question for all of you. I mean, the blended form of learning, which all of us have been talking about. Do you think once the school reopens, maybe a year later, or we'll have to see when it would be, maybe next year or whenever. So do you think that's going to continue in the coming years also?
See, I want to take this out. I feel the blended learning approach is going to be there to stay. Like Mr. Basu mentioned, we are all dying to go back to school and our places of learning, but we have to acknowledge that through technology, it gives a kind of a ease of delivering the learning pyramid, which is lecture of chalk and talk gives only 5% retention, then gives reading, then gives audio visual, then gives demonstration, then gives the discussion group, which is peer-to-peer learning, then practice by doing, and the last one is teach others, which is at the bottom of the pyramid, which gives the highest retention of learning. So through this technology, which provides space to move out from chalk to talk to the other ways of learning and learning retention. So that is the key which technology offers, and through technology one can start like not have only the teacher as the deliverer or sage on stage, and basically access the other materials which are there as well as able to deliver them professionally.
Sure.
Over to you.
Mr. Kumar, would you like to add to it?
I will say one thing. Having said everything and all the technology and all, this is the situation which is existing today. The basic aim of education is to become a good human being. Manubhava, that has been our tradition, and the main aim of education is to exist and to learn how to coexist. So basically, like all our previous speakers have said, that yes, everybody's kids are dying to go to school, and they want to go to school at any, because we are missing that social link, and man is a social animal, so we are missing that, and that behavioral problem is coming. I am also father of 3 kids, so I can understand, I can see the situation which is going on. They have become so addicted to the gadgets that it has become very difficult for us. So that is why, in fact, I was discussing with my faculty members here. I said कि see, आपको ऐसा कुछ plan करना पड़ेगा कि how to use this technology, because technology is to empower us and it should not overpower us. And right now,
Correct.
what it is happening, how much mix it has to be used, that has to be defined. And definitely the participation of parents have increased immensely, because we cannot leave everything to teachers now. So that is the thing, and we all have to think on that. Like, see, you have to start this program at 12:30, but because of technological problems, some glitches, we were able to start at 1 o'clock. And just imagine if it goes to the one of the remotest village, how it will be possible to teach the children like this. So I just pray to God, pray to Almighty, that we all must come down to the normal, and we all have to think on this issue, not only as a how to put technology, how much technology you can put. Ultimately man is not a machine.
Yeah.
This is already this is saying that the man behind the machine is important. So no doubt, we are doing conferences, webinars all over the globe, but then our senior people have to think. हमारे बुद्धिजीवियों को बैठ के ये सोचना पड़ेगा कि बच्चों को कितना सिखाया जाए, कितना इसका इस्तेमाल करना है, कैसे करना है. डेफिनेटली अब ये एक एसेंशियल पार्ट हो गया है हमारे एजुकेशन का, हमारे दैनिक जीवन का अभिन्न हिस्सा हो गया है. इसके बारे में हमें सोचना पड़ेगा. और अगर आप मेरे को आज्ञा दें, तो चूंकि मेरा एक मीटिंग है, तो आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल एंड थैंकफुल टू ऑल ऑफ यू, एंड इट वाज ग्रेट लर्निंग here, listening to Professor Abhimanyu Basu, Dr. Indrajit Bhattacharya. I thank you, sir, and a very good day to you. And thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. We just have a set of awards. If you could stay for a couple of minutes.
Ma'am, actually, my director sir is waiting, and now two calls I have got. So it is a working day, and thanks a lot, ma'am. Sorry.
All
I'm
right.
so
Thank you so much.
Good day.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this platform. Pleasure having you.
Punita, I wanted to add something here
Sure,
in terms of what you said,
Mr. Basu.
if I have a few minutes. I think the pandemic has leveraged technology in terms of the advantages of technology. Today, Microsoft Teams works as our learning management system, through which, as Acharya was saying, we are not just letting the teacher teach, but we are actually ensuring that the children are also discussing and generating through their professional learning communities. So teaching materials can be shared. And we know that there is no equitability of good teachers around India. So, across India. And I feel that technology can be leveraged to ensure that we form a large professional learning community through these technological platforms, by which teachers can share each other's plan. Like Teams is such a huge platform that we are looking at. And when you connect multiple schools, I'm just talking of one platform. Similarly, there can be thousands of platforms, and the government can come out with a platform which can connect all the teachers. But can we think of a platform which connects teachers around the country to share their lesson plans, to share best practices, and to connect with each other so that they grow together? I think that development of a large professional learning community, that sharing of resources which will be good resources across the country for students, so that accessibility should not be a factor for good education in future. Today it is. If you are not connected, or if you are in an area where there is not a good teacher, you are not accessible to good education. I do not think that should happen in the future. The pandemic has shown us how technology can be connected to take away those barriers and make education more equitable.
Sure. Rightly said, Mr. Basu. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And with this, we would like to conclude the session. And I can only say that educators have, throughout this time of change, been at the forefront of the work. And they have been doing some distinctive work, and we'll see much more impact in the coming years because of that. So thank you for taking out time and being with us today at this session.
Thank you.
And Muskan, are you there? Do we have any awards announcement in this session?
I would like to leave because I have another meeting to attend. Please excuse me.
Okay, if you could spare a couple of minutes, just a few
I have
awards we
another
have to
meeting
announce.
coming up at 1:30, so
Oh,
I
okay.
need to join that. Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya.
Thank you.
So with this, we would like to conclude the session. Thank you so much, Mr. Basu, for joining us.